Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. We got a wild weekend. It's FA Cup. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot to tell you we're going to bet on Manchester United Fulham, and I'm going to lose money on it for the third time this season because I love that fixture so much. The board sucks. The board sucks so hard. The board sucks so hard that I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Nick Dianni. We're going to try to get you through a crazy weekend. There's no Premier League. There are big games in Italy. Three very big games in Italy, and I'm gonna give you picks. I could fall in love with them and fall out of love with them three times before that kickoff happens. There's a decent one in Spain. There's an okay game in France. There's an okay game in Germany. So we're gonna get you to through all of them. Like I said, we'll give you one FA Cup pick, and then I'm gonna just put it out for the people now. I'm going small this weekend. If this was a college basketball lineup, I'm playing the shortest guys on the roster because I'm putting in a responsibly large bet, but I'm putting in a large wager on a Champions League team to qualify. We'll talk about that before we get off the air today. Nick, welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you for wandering through the swamp with me today because I'm legitimately considering putting in a wager on Valladolid Las Palmas on Friday. Is how bad. That's how bad. I think Stefan Bajcetic shot on target plus 125. He's done that in the last two games. And Palmas are plus 140 money line. Valladolid are awful. It's a relegation 6-pointer in Spain. Um,
Over.
yeah, I
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. I don't think it can be overstated how bad the lines are this week. And like you said, in Italy, there's two marquee games. I don't think they're going to be great showcases for the league. I think you're going to
no.
see classic old school Italian football teams that are going to wait patiently. There's not going to be a ton of goals. Every point is very crucial. So, playing for a point is going to be more important than viewers. So bet accordingly. Go small. Champions League next week. Big sandwich spot for a lot of teams. So just proceed with caution. A lot of rotation. Shop your lines. Have some fun.
All right. Before we jump to Atletico Madrid versus Athletic Club, I do want to point out for the people, Anthony has a shot. Anthony
So
has
good.
has a goal or an assist in 4 of the 6 games for his new club. They're playing against Real Madrid. He's plus 180. Just whether or not I take that, it's up for debate. But I want the
You
people who
take it
come here
until it doesn't hit.
right
So I've had his goal
value up.
scorer. I
Yeah,
took him to score 2 goals plus 4,000 a couple weeks ago. He scored that banger volley. He was I think he had 4 shots on target or something like that. Like he was so damn close for a plus 4,000, 2 goals. So
yeah.
he's been on fire.
The
Ride it.
value's there. Athletic Club are taking on Atletico Madrid in Madrid. Here's the fun thing. Bilbao haven't lost in La Liga since October 6th. They did
It's
lose at
nuts.
home. They did lose at home before that to Atletico Madrid, though. But Bilbao double chance at minus 135 is very tempting. But I'm gonna play these two for sure. Over 2.5 goals, which is hitting 4 of the 5 for Athletic Club and 3 of the last 5 for Atleti. Atleti got gashed on Tuesday, 4-4 classic against Barcelona. And I'm gonna play Julian Alvarez because he's hot. Score or assist plus 150. It's hitting 4 of the last 5 for him. And like there's even and of like the last 10, I think it's like 7 of his last 10 games. He's had a goal contribution at plus 150 for him to do something. I'm gonna take that. He's been such a key piece for Atletico this season, and this is a big game for them. If they want to try to stick around in this La Liga race, and Athletic Club they're no slouch.
100%. I don't need to look any further than both teams to score. It's sitting at minus 110. I think that's an outrageously good number for both of these teams who are hot as hell. I would look at some sort of first half over if you're so inclined, or first half, pick a team that you like. The Atletico's been scoring and conceding a ton super early in games, so something to keep an eye on. Definitely be looking ahead to next week, as we mentioned, but both teams to score minus 110 and over. It's right there. I don't think we need to overthink it. One of the better bets, I think, on the board this weekend.
Yeah, I think of the things that I'm actually confident about. This game that is the game that I would feel the most confident about. Let's go to a game that I have zero confidence in my predictions here. It's Napoli taking on Inter. This is a huge game for the title race in Italy. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Inter to have a classic Inter performance. I don't know if it's going to be this week. Napoli in free falls the wrong way to say it because they have been picking up points but they haven't been winning. They've been drawing a lot. Just total loss of form.
Free
A
fall
lot.
isn't fair because we need to be realistic about who this team is and what their roster is. Their roster wasn't strong coming into the season. They then lost their most dynamic player in January. They've, had a few injuries of late the past couple of weeks. So Anguissa's out. That's a huge hole in the midfield. They have nobody to fill in. So to say they're in free fall, is it like factually correct? Yes. Is it fair to say? I don't really think so. I think they've been exceeding expectations even for themselves to this point in the season. So just kind of wanted to throw that in.
I think that's a very fair point. I mean, they let Kvara go. They've been kind of playing David Neres in that position, and he was having a lot of success, and he's been out for a while. So maybe don't sell Kvara in January if you don't have a replacement lined up. But
Correct.
that's, I'm not going to tell De Laurentiis how to run his club because I mean, he has more money than me. This is for me a game that like I could flip a coin and decide if I'm going to play both teams to score yes or no because I could see it happening and I could see it not happening and I really have no idea. Yes at minus 112 and no at minus 122. It's as much as I think that like I think it's hitting like the four of the last five for Napoli. Um, but then on the other side with Inter, their defense is so good. So I was thinking about that and then I was like,
Summer
no,
is
I
hurt.
yeah. Oh, that's fair. That's a very fair point. Then I was like, oh, maybe I'll play Inter and under 3.5 at plus 200 or Inter and under 4.5 at plus 155. And then I realized that Inter money line is just plus 135. And why am I overcomplicating that? But like, uh, an Inter team total over 1.5 is plus 140. I
It,
think,
it's it's as good of a number as you're going to get for Inter to score two goals. So
which I
like
don't think they're going to do.
I don't either, but like my school of thought is if like this is the only time that's going to be available, maybe you just take it.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. I think it's you either play Inter team total over 1.5 or you play Inter money line, whatever you feel better about.
I agree.
Um,
Listen, I mean, I'm going to give a whole bunch of thoughts and then I will actually give out a play. Like you're getting players, and I think we said it at the top. This is going to be kind of your classic terrorism Italian football. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. You're getting Lautaro, who's like the leading goal scorer in Italy the past 5 years, at plus 240. You're getting Thuram, who is like still third on the charts of goals in Serie A this year at like plus 270. Um, those are big, big, big numbers. Lukaku at plus 300 or more. I mean, these are guys that know how to score and that will show up in big games. Could you take a look at all of them? Raspadori, who started in two straight games and has goals in two straight games, is plus 400. These are big, big numbers. If you want to take a quarter of a unit, take whatever. I think that's not a bad way to approach it. My take on the game is Napoli have to win. They have to get something out of it. If Napoli drop 3 points, you can forget about the Scudetto. I truly believe that. I think Atalanta's breathing down their neck. We think Inter is a better team, right? They've been here. If they get the 3 points, they know what it takes, especially if they go away to Napoli and get 3 points. It's going to be really tough for them to overcome. Napoli at home, just on vibes. Conte is going to rally the team like he's never rallied this team before. Say whatever you want about him. He's deserves criticism in certain aspects, but getting a team motivated and getting a lot out of a little is something he does very well. So Napoli at home plus a quarter of a goal at minus 120. The draw is sitting at plus 205. So that tells you everything you need to know from an odds standpoint. A point isn't really bad for Inter in this scenario. So I kind of like Napoli. I think just there's no reason for me to back them in this game, which kind of means like, hey, could they pull out a 1-0 victory vibes? That's kind of the way I'm leaning because if they don't win, they've got
it's
nothing else.
over. It's over. Yeah, yeah. I tend to agree with you because we've been waiting to see it all season for Inter. Now, if they come
Yeah,
out and they win this game 3-0 and they go full on
there
cruise
they are.
control,
And that jettisons them in the Champions League into like a scenario they want to be in. Hey, we just beat our direct rival. We're looking good. Credit to them. They very well can do it, but they haven't really looked good in big games this year.
no, they've lost. How many times have they lost to Milan this season?
Twice.
Yeah, and they got another derby coming up.
Lost to Juve,
Yeah, yeah.
Champions League in a couple days. I don't know. Like it's just kind of lining up for Napoli to me. Even though there's nothing with their recent form that tells me they're going to win this game.
Absolutely not. All right, let's jump to. I think actually could be the best game in Italy for the weekend. Like when you get the players on the field, a resurgent Roma, who I keep asking people who's going to finish higher in the table, Roma or Milan, because give me Roma right now, and they're taking on Como. And there's one thing you can criticize Como for a lot of things. They're fun. At least they're going to go out there and die on their sword. You know what I mean? They're going to try. Both teams have scored minus 122, which is hitting 7 of the last 13 for Roma in 2025 and 6 of the last 8 for Como in this calendar year. That seems like the easiest slam dunk of this game. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 at plus 130.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play it. Nico Paz score or assist at plus 200.
so good.
Yeah, so good. He had a goal involvement earlier this season against Roma. Um, yeah, I know Roma are generally trending upwards, but I just kind of see this game as like an open game. I'd almost consider over 3.5 in this game.
You could. I think you could. Nico Paz, yeah, just a monster. Shop your lines because we were getting him regularly around plus 500 to score. That's dipped. I've seen him as low as like plus 320. I'm sure he's probably in the 400 range. He also gets a lot of shots on target. So like if you can get him 2 shots on target for a really fat number, I would look into something like that. This is a revenge game for Roma that they don't even know about. Maybe they do know about it because I think Como was their last loss in the league, if I'm not mistaken. It's something like 10 plus games that they haven't lost. So Roma's on a great run of form. They are at home. Como just came out, beat Fiorentina, scored 2 goals, beat Napoli, scored 2 goals. Can they come in and beat Roma and score two? Like if they do, credit to them, power to them. I mean, I think this is the Como many people thought we were getting at the beginning of the year that I didn't believe in. They've now proven me wrong 2 separate occasions this year. I had Roma really, really big in the reverse fixture, and they gave up 2 very late goals to Como to lose that game. I have to back Roma again in this one. It's a win-win for me. Minus 115 on the money line. If they win, I'm a genius, and you guys listen to me and us for a reason. If they lose, oh, Roma dropped 3 points. I get to complain about it. I can't lose, but
Yep.
I do think
And
Roma take care of business at home.
yeah, they've been playing really good. Like I said, I think they're gonna still somehow end up qualifying as bad as they were this season. Still somehow qualify
Nobody
for a
else wants
European
it.
spot. Yeah,
Nobody else wants it. It's
yeah.
nuts.
I mean, maybe it's Conference League, but like, hey, you know what? Roma will absolutely take another Conference League title. Um, that jumps to your team. Milan are taking on Lazio. Milan are playing Thursday. Lazio are not. Lazio double chance at minus 130. They have not gotten a point at Milan since 2019, which doesn't seem that long. But then again, you look at the calendar and oh no, that's been 6 years. It's been 6 years. Um, over 2.5 goals at minus 128 feels fun. Um, I Milan. I mean, you want to talk about free fall?
Yeah.
They're a mess.
Yeah. I said this on my other pod last night, and I've said it week. I know I talked about it with you personally. I don't know if I've said it here on the show. Like I almost feel like a Milan fan for how much I've invested in their success this year with money. So like every single week, I'm expecting so much more of them, and they just kind of break my heart. I thought they would be much better than they are. I think they play better than their results. I think they generate a lot of offense. Magnan is suspect. He just is. They've obviously had a ton of injuries in defense, but they got less than zero out of Tammy and Murata this year, who was their strike force for the first 4 or 5 months of the year. Right? They got you and I might as well have been up there. That's the kind of production that they got. Pulisic is tired. He's injured. He's feeling the effects. Leao is kind of doing Leao things where he shows up when he wants to and doesn't when he doesn't. They made really smart move to get Jimenez. I think that's gonna propel them, but I thought that was gonna propel them, and then they turn around. They lose in the Champions League. They lose last week to a very bad team. I forget who they lost to. That's however bad it was. They lost. So like they just keep letting me down week in and week out. You talk about the over. The over makes sense because Lazio plays a lot of overs. Milan plays a lot of overs. Who's scoring for either of these teams? Like I just don't know where 3 goals are coming from in the form that they're both in. So I actually would lean the other way, but I'm with you with Lazio. Lazio plus a quarter of a goal, plus 105. I think a draw suits them just fine. If Lazio drop 3 points in this game, their chances of top four, top five are absolutely gone. They need to go all in on Europa League. So that's what I'm kind of hanging my hat on. They need to get something out of this game. I think at least a draw.
Um, for the record, Milan lost to Torino. That's
Yeah,
they
come
lost
on.
to.
Can't lose
Yeah,
that game.
yeah. Torino scored 2 goals against AC Milan. Like that's why I have hope that Lazio can do it because like objectively better roster. Are you guys both missing key attacking players? Yes, but I just think both of these defenses stink right now, or maybe not Lazio's, but Milan's
It's
is
not great.
certainly it's not good. So, all right, let's jump to the Bundesliga. There's actually a very fun game with 12:30. Frankfurt are taking on Leverkusen. Frankfurt just got turned over by Bayern Munich. Leverkusen have Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and wait, stick around because we will talk about that. Um, I like the first half over 1.5 at plus 150. I think it's hitting like uh 3 of the last 5 for Frankfurt and 2 of the last 5 for Leverkusen. I'm getting that. I might be getting that mixed around. But I really like the both teams are scoring over 2.5 at minus 110 because it's hitting 8 of the last 10 head-to-head matchups between these two teams. Um, I in Germany in particular, I know players move, they come and go, but look, like both of these teams are capable of scoring goals. Leverkusen is more than capable. Frankly, both of them have European ambitions that they're looking forward to coming up next week. Frankfurt in Europa League, Leverkusen in the Champions League. It is very easy for both of these teams to rotate, both of these teams to score goals, and it's the Bundesliga. We see a lot of goals in that league.
Spot.
So, at plus 150 first half, 2 goals, I could see it. Leverkusen tend to be a first half team. Um, I think that's fun value, but the both teams scoring over 2.5 just feels safer.
Yeah, both. And a third alternative is just to play the over 3 at plus 110. Will it suck if it lands on 3 and you get a push? Yeah, but you don't lose, and it's plus 110. So I think if you believe there's 2 first half goals, over 3 is not unreasonable. And you don't need to worry about a side. You don't need to worry about what happens. Root for chaos.
PSG will take on Lille in Liga, a very good game. Again, another two teams that have Champions League to look forward to. Lille, I think, have an easier tie, um, but I think they're taking on Dortmund. Dortmund.
They are taking on Dortmund. Yeah.
And I think they're going to get through that. The number's not there to bet it, but I think they're going to get through that because this Dortmund team is the worst Dortmund team I've ever seen. Um, PSG and over 2.5 at minus 125. PSG and over 3.5 at plus 175. PSG are a buzzsaw right now. They are
Yeah.
playing great ball. Very afraid of them. I think there's goals in this game, just like I did last summer. Well, Marcus gave it out last weekend, reminded me that, oh yeah, PSG score a shit ton of goals. Bet on PSG to score goals, so we're going to do that. Yeah, that's all I got there.
Yeah, I agree.
PSG.
I think PSG first half money line at minus 115 is interesting. They get off to a quick start. And I'm going to be really honest with you. I mean, I know they've done exceptionally well to progress this far in the Champions League. Every time I watch Lille, I'm not impressed. I I don't know. I mean, good for them, but I think PSG get it done. I think they get it done early. Your plays are amazing. The other guy I would look to, assuming that he's starting, he did start midweek in the cup match, and I knew that there's Champions League, so I don't really know what's going on. But KK Kvaratskhelia is plus 185 to get a goal. He did not get one of the 7 goals they scored in the cup during the week, so he's due. I don't know. Like I don't see him not scoring if he's starting in this game.
Dembele, unfortunately, minus 110 anytime a
Yeah,
goal scorer. They
nothing to
caught
do
on to
there.
his hot streak. Like I said, I forgot that we were going to bet on Man United Tottenham or Man United Fulham. I have lost every Man United Fulham bet that I've played this year, and I looked back in my notes both times, and I was like, "Yep, that makes sense. I would totally do that again." So I only found one thing. Fulham team total over 1.5 plus 144 is hitting 4 of the last 5 for Fulham and 3 of the last 5 for United. That in the sense that United have given up 2 goals in 3 of their last 5. They gave up 2 goals to Ipswich. Um, I know this is at Old Trafford. I still think Fulham can score twice in this game. I just do.
The only thing I'll say is I cannot find a reason for me or anybody else to believe in Manchester United. And I don't understand why they're a favorite. I don't understand why they're plus money. I don't understand anything about them. Why would you ever bet on United? The end.
I kind of think it's like one of those situations where they're having their worst historic season, but if they at least win the FA Cup, like
It's
it's
not.
lipstick on it. Yeah, it's lipstick on the pig. Even though now financially not making any European appearance would be really bad for United, but I actually think that they would weirdly
I mean, this is
benefit
what Moram wants,
from
right? He's
yeah.
he's trying to show that he needs to clean house top to bottom, and I think
Yes.
he's probably going to get that. Assuming he like the, I don't know, they just don't decide to fire him because of how bad he's been. I don't think
Yeah, I
they
don't
brought
think they
him
can
in for that.
afford that. I don't think they can
Um,
afford to fire him. Like they
but
cannot afford to be paying two coaches not to coach at United
so
right
it's
now.
kind of interesting. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, where like Manchester City, like the books are still valuing who they think Manchester City is versus the actual performance of Manchester City. I feel like Manchester United is getting that, but from like a decade ago. Like they're still getting lines as if they're Manchester United from 2017. I don't know. Like it just really doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But then again, like I said, I bet on Fulham to get results in this game, or both teams are scoring over 2.5 in this game every single time this season, and both times it has burned me. And I'm looking back, and it's like that makes sense. Why? Well, I'm literally in the same spot, taking the same shot, being like, why isn't this going through the hoop?
Yeah,
So
who scored two goals for United? Nobody.
nobody. Yeah, it was 1-0 in both occasions. So yeah, I'm just gonna play the Fulham team total, try to get the ball to go through the hoop. This isn't ordinarily where I'd be like, oh yeah, we have parlays. I don't have parlays. There are no parlays this
Don't
weekend.
do it.
Don't do it. Don't give me the money so that I can place a larger wager here. Bayern Munich are taking on Bayer Leverkusen, Champions League round of 16. Has there ever been a more fraudulent Bayern Munich than this team?
No.
They um have been dragged. They've been getting results because of Harry Kane's goal scoring attributes. He's scoring a million goals in the German league. Um, but their defensive line stinks. Upamecano has a mistake in him. Uh, Kim and Jay has a mistake in him. Even their fullbacks. I like Alphonso Davies, but Alphonso Davies is really a winger. Um, I don't think their midfield is really that great anymore. I love Kimmich a lot, but like after that, I'm kind of not in love with them. Most their attack, we don't need to talk about their attack. But also, I will speaking about their attack, there are guys that it's like, have we seen them do it in the biggest moments routinely? Musiala, sure. Kane, sure. Thomas Muller, who's old, sure. Do we trust Leroy Sané? Do we
No.
trust Serge Gnabry?
No.
Weirdly
Every
enough,
time I bet those two guys, they do nothing, by the way.
I do trust Michael Olise. This Bayer Leverkusen team has not lost to Bayern Munich in six straight. Um, the first tie is going to be at Bayern Munich. The second one is going to be at Leverkusen. We've seen this Leverkusen team have the better of them. They're plus 145 to advance. I'm going to place a responsibly large wager. It's my team to qualify of the year. Sound the klaxon. Um, that's on me to edit that into post if I feel like it. Um, I don't know. I trust Javi Alonso more than I trust Company. There's so many more players on this Leverkusen team that I'm like, okay, go to Bayern, get a draw, come back to Leverkusen, win 2-0. It's done. It took Bayern. Bayern got a 2-1 win at Celtic on the road. Sure, they played well that night. They still allowed Celtic to get on the score sheet. Then they played at Bayern, and Celtic were up in that game, and it took a last second, not even moment of magic, just like kerfuffle at the back for Bayern to get over the line. I know Leverkusen's offense has struggled or defense has struggled this season, but they're better players than Celtic. Um, and I think it's abundantly clear that Bayern are going to win the Bundesliga at this point. And this is Leverkusen's opportunity to say, yeah, but we're not letting you win a treble or they can't win a treble, but we're not letting you win the Champions League too. So yeah, I'm putting it all on the line. Like I said, I'm gonna go small this weekend so that I can justify putting in a very large wager on Leverkusen to advance.
If you want me to talk you out of that, I can't
I
do it
don't. I don't.
because
Is there anybody in this round of 16 wise to qualify that you like?
yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this one. I'm not saying it's a certainty, but I think it represents the most fun thing to root for. I think it represents the best value. If you're looking for an underdog, PSV to qualify over Arsenal is plus 310. I don't need to get into what I think about Arsenal. I think we talk about that a lot.
I mean, what do we think of shit?
Yeah, I mean, listen, good for Arsenal that they always seem to be interesting and their fans are always loud and they have kind of pseudo competed for a long time, pretending that they're going to compete for a Premier League title or some sort of trophy. They're not doing that this year. I think this past week put that to rest. They obviously have a ton of injuries. Now, PSV have a ton of injuries as well, but this is a very underrated, undervalued, underrespected PSV team. This is a PSV team that won the Dutch League last year. Kind of like Arsenal. They've been flirting with, winning the Dutch League the past 3, 4, 5 years. They finished second, they finished third, they finished second. Last year, they made it happen. They were in pole position this year. They have drawn, I believe, their last 3 or 4 games, and like Ajax is like on a 7 game winning streak, so
Yeah.
Ajax is overtaking them. But this PSV team scores a ton of goals, like a ton of goals. They turned around a tie where they were losing to Juventus. They obviously made it this far, right? Like I don't, it doesn't need to be overstated. They're a very good team. Where are Arsenal's goals coming from? Like I've kind of asked for the past few weeks. We talk about our boy from Sociedad, who's not really a forward, but has now been stuck in as a forward. We got Trossard, who I just don't believe in. Odegaard hasn't shown much. He's not a goal scorer, but I mean, we need more out of him. I don't really believe in this Arsenal team. Now, will they play all in for the Champions League? I think at this point they have to, but you want to take anybody else for an upset at plus 120, plus 130 to advance? I think plus 310 is way too big, much of a disrespectful number for PSV, especially if they're at home in this first tie and they get a result. You gave yourself a beautiful out to hedge this any which way you can.
And Arsenal are one of those teams that like it's been a long time since we saw a clutch moment from Arsenal in Europe. And we're talking like Thierry Henry, Cesc Fabregas days of Arsenal, and those were 20 years ago. Like
I don't believe
I
that.
I just don't think it's in the club DNA right now, and I think I agree with you. Now, if there's ever a time to fade Arsenal, and I'd feel so much better about this if, Ricardo Pepi was healthy and
For
like a
sure.
couple other players on PSV were healthy.
Arsenal have the
Um,
same injuries. That's the only reason I kind of level it out. Like
but I look at Arsenal right now, and this is exactly why I said, Nottingham Forest are not going to lose on Wednesday night. Is the head it's the head loss for Arsenal. Like they've seen Liverpool go out, get the result week after week after week after week, and it's the same three guys going up there that haven't been good enough to be scoring goals to get in wins for Arsenal. And it's that like lack of confidence. And there's no one like, even if Saka was to suddenly like return to training and be ready to go, they still don't have a striker. Like they don't have. I mean, I guess you can move on Wanyeri to the left and you can play Trossard through the middle, but it's like
could you? Is that
it's
doing it
not.
in Champions League?
I mean, you would think that Trossard would be capable of doing it against a team like PSV, but PSV got through to a point where we didn't think they were going to get through in the first place. Like Juve beat them 2-1, and then I was like, "Yep, Juve's not going to lose in the second leg. Juve draw no bet." Look how that went. Um, so I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think again, obviously, look at the background behind me. I'm a little biased here, but at plus 310, it's the best number on the board. I mean, I looked at Brugge for a hot second because if they play the way they did against Atalanta, they'll go through.
Yeah, and Villa's in kind of the same situation. Their defense is terrible.
I think they
Plain and
lost to
simple. Like
Brugge. I think they lost to Brugge in the Champions League already this season. But the number wasn't there. Um, PSG, I think, is like plus 150 to get through against Liverpool. I don't hate that. I mean, I do hate it, but like, and I put a ticket on PSG to reach the final of the Champions League at the beginning of the season, so I don't need to invest anymore on PSG.
Uh,
Um,
plus 1250 PSV and Club Brugge to advance parlay. Just saying.
do you want to get really crazy with it and retire and put Feyenoord in there too? Because
Yeah, let's see. Plus 8,000.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Tell my boss I'm quitting in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see you
Like,
later.
um, that'll wrap it up from us. I think I don't think we need to get any crazier than that. No, like I said, no both teams score parlay. No goal scorer parlay. This sport stinks. I feel like we did the best we could with what we have. Um, Champions League middle of the week next week, and then another weekend, and then another weekend, and then international break. So yeah, we're in the final third of the season. There's going to be a lot to talk about.
There's title races somewhere.
There's title races
There's
somewhere.
relegation races elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
It's all
look,
happening.
La Liga's very close. The top four race in the Premier League is very close. The top four race in Serie A is very close. The title race in Serie A is very close. Um, Outside of that, relegation, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next week. I'm Andrew. He's Nick. Follow us on Twitter at Andrew Passaro at Nick Dianni. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I should have asked that at the beginning. We're very close to 300 subs, so
Yeah. Let's
would
do it.
love to break 300 subs. So, see you guys soon.